Yeah, requested to change out their debaters.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so now you guys can
Yeah, good job.
Mr. Washington, Ms. Roberts.
What up, bud? No, you just did. Alright, so now we're going to talk about gay marriage. Should the government ban it? If so, at the state level, federal level, or neither? And because Yaf went first when discussing abortion, college libertarians, you can go first now.
Excellent. What is marriage, ladies and gentlemen? Is it a union between a man and a woman with the intent of procreating a child? If so, why does the state recognize marriages between infertile couples? And if procreation is not part of the operational definition of marriage, why is sex between homosexual couples forbidden? I propose that marriage describes a commitment between consenting adults to love and take care of each other. However, I also will argue that there is no reason why single people or unmarried individuals should subsidize married couples with tax breaks. I therefore believe that government should step out of the business of marriage and leave it to society to define and deal with this type of issues through contract law, for instance.
Great. Your guys' intro?
Marriage has been regarded over the ages and across cultures as the fundamental building block of our society. Due to the biological ability to have children, marriage is and always has been between one man and one woman. Traditional marriage is crucial to maintaining the best environment and well-being for a child. Government must maintain the traditional family unit to provide the ideal situation and environment for a child and the future of this great nation. The concept of marriage being redefined into any union between any lovers will open the floodgates to a society in which anything goes. Opening up the institution of marriage beyond a man and a woman has led to same-sex marriage, but will also lead to polygamy, bigamy, and consenting incestuous relationships. We are not arguing whom you can and cannot love, but rather defending the traditional institution of marriage, as it has been for over 2,000 years. So tonight, we ask our friends on the other side, what is marriage and why does the government have an interest in recognizing it? The answers to these questions are crucial to any debate about the redefinition of marriage.
Yeah. All right, so Liberty, if you'd like to respond to anything there. Also, our first question.
So, if you could respond maybe to their first question, what is marriage and how should it be defined?
We already answered that in your opening statement.
Yeah, we answered that in our opening statement. Marriage is a contract between two people for the purposes, or defining a commitment to love and take care of each other.
I'm confused what that means, though, because you just said that you don't think the government should be in the business of marriage, didn't you? In your opening statement? Oh, don't answer that, he says, but that is what you said, right?
We said that in our opening statement, but we
but you don't agree with
do
it?
acknowledge that the government is involved in the business of marriage.
So you're against gay marriage, actually, because you're against all marriage.
We do not think that the government should be defining...
Yeah, but that's not what I asked. You're against gay marriage because you're against all state-recognized marriage.
We are against all state...
Calm down, calm down.
He has no right to interrupt their
Okay,
statement.
so you give your response, then you'll give your response.
Look, we argue for equality under the law. Yes, we oppose gay marriage in the sense that we oppose all state-recognized marriage. But we believe that philosophically, yes, they are the same thing. Marriage between a man and a woman is same. It has same value, moral value, as a marriage between homosexual couples. So we're arguing a philosophical point in a legal recognition. Yes, well, it's legal, and if the state is going to recognize it, it should be equality under the law, and they should be allowed to get married. We disagree that there should be tax benefits to married couples at the expense of the rest of the population. Those are two different points. I understand why you could be confused.
Sure. So I guess my one question would be, is marriage restricted to two people? Because, well, hold on. that's one important question because you've pretty much said that it's couples there, but why would it be restricted to two loving people? Why could it not be more loving people?
Yeah.
And secondly, why has marriage been ingrained in Western civil law for the last forever? If the only purpose is love, why is that?
Yeah, you're right, and if I said it wrong in my opening statement, I apologize. It shouldn't be just between two people.
Oh.
We do support polygamy and incestuous relationships between people.
Okay.
And I think that marriage has not been recognized forever in law. I mean, if you want to go with a traditional argument, which is what you're proposing, slavery was traditional, polygamy was traditional for most of human life, and I don't think the traditional argument stands up to scrutiny. It should be about moral principle. And I do understand your concern for the institution of marriage, but nobody loses. Nobody loses by opening up the understanding of marriage to polygamy. Nobody loses for opening the definition of marriage to understand the relationship between homosexual couples. As long as what you're arguing is that marriage is separate from the intent of conception of a child, then in principle, there's really no reason why sex should be considered a non-arbitrary distinction.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we agree with you on that point, that if you're going to just say that any 2, 10, 25 people that love each other want to have a relationship, and that's recognized by the government as marriage, we can't argue that. I mean, you're right. On that point, if it's just love and you're opening it to everybody, okay, that's fine. But at that point, we agree with you also that there shouldn't be tax breaks for that, in which case the government shouldn't look at marriage.
Yeah,
But the difference is we actually believe there is a purpose to marriage, and that is as the foundation block of civil society, as a place where children are educated and brought up, as a place where family units are able to interact with society, and where benefits are gained. And the problem is that your view does not take into any of those accounts, and it kind of loses the whole idea of what marriage is. You know, I think that if you're going to take your definition of marriage as two loving people, then the intrusion of government in that, having to register your love with the government, is weird. And I agree with you on that. Because registering your love with the government is actually against our liberties as a people. You know, you don't register your friendships. You don't register necessarily your relatives. So you wouldn't register your love if there's no purpose aside from love. So we agree with you. You wouldn't recognize it as the government. But we believe that the government does recognize it and does give tax breaks and does give incentives for children making and all those sorts of things because there is value in that family unit that's created.
Another minute each on this subject, and then we'll move on to the economics of the matter.
Okay, in terms of the family values argument, who is to say that a heterosexual couple raising a child is the best family? Who is to say that a homosexual couple cannot raise a child correctly? Wouldn't you rather have a child with 2 homosexual parents than have them grow up in foster care? Or even with 3 parents who care about them? Most families involve more than 2 people raising a child. Grandparents, uncles, aunts. There's the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Are you arguing against that statement?
Children that grow up in traditional homes do much better across the board against heterosexual relationships at all. Children who grow up in heterosexual environments have a poor educational track record. They suffer from depression more so than children that grow up in heterosexual environments, and they have many thoughts of suicide, and their overall happiness and well-being is dramatically lower. So we are promoting the ideal situation for the child.
I could just add in one thing. If you guys could respond to that one aspect, specifically the difference between, you know, if a child's option, you know, is between growing up in foster care and having a homosexual couple raise them, you know, how would you think that impacts the child's development as well as, you know, the possible productivity to society?
Sure. I mean, I think you've got an issue here of they're trying to argue everything philosophically. They've said that, but then they want to drill on very specific issues that are not the majority and not even the majority of the time, right? So you've got an issue here We're advocating that we prefer, because we believe that the social science is on our side, that biological parents, both of them together, raise parents best. That's what we're arguing. We're not arguing about all the small intricacies. If you're asking whether I would prefer one or the other, I'd prefer neither, to be honest. And so, that's what we're trying to work for. We're not trying to say, well, would we rather this bad alternative, this bad? That's not what we're asking. We're saying, this is the ideal that we would hold, and that's why we're saying this.
So if you could briefly discuss the economics of gay marriage as opposed to a marriage between a man and a woman.
Okay, if I can first respond to that argument.
Sure.
They brought up the point that children raised by homosexual couples are more likely to suffer suicidal thoughts and more likely to be bad in school. And it is because of their argument. It is because society has placed a heteronormative construction on what a family should look like. And because of that, children who are not in this heteronormative construction feel like their family isn't worth the same as everyone else's. And because of that, they suffer suicidal thoughts, they do worse on testing at school. And the way we solve that is not by just getting rid of it, it's by opening up our minds, and opening up our beliefs, and accepting that different kinds of families are all the same and are all beneficial to society.
Your response?
Yeah, I mean, the social science might be because of that, but I don't think that's what the evidence shows. The evidence does show that those people do worse, and it's not because of some social construct that's put upon them, right? I mean, because the way something works properly and the way it's supposed to work properly, working outside of that does not necessarily mean that we all need to change our ideas. I mean, I think that if you want to, your own argument has said that if 25 people raise these children, that would be okay too. Is that what you would like?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, and we just don't see it that way. The social science does not hold up. I mean, Justice William Brennan of the Supreme Court stated in an opinion, Bowen versus Gilliard, that the optimal situation for a child is to have both an involved mother and an involved father. David Peponen explains that the burden of social evidence supports that the idea of gender-differentiated parenting is important to human development. These are social scientists, these are experts that say this. And I'm sorry if you don't agree with that or you don't like the evidence and you want to make excuses for it, but that's what it says.
Okay, talking about evidence, I took the liberty to print 2 studies, one by Tufts New England Medical Center in Boston, and other one by University of Virginia and George Washington University. It showed that kids raised by homosexual couples do as well as different sex couples, and I believe that fundamentally the argument is very flawed. You're talking about the mean, right? You're talking about like, well, most of, let's say that you're right. Let's say that you're right, and that different sex couples get a child that gets an SAT score of 500, and children from homosexual couples get an SAT score of 300 or 400. Does it mean that we need to set the bar to 500? Nobody that procreates a child that has an SAT score below the mean should be allowed to have a child. And that is not the case. Also, I take offense to the idea that you think that civil society that marriage as defined currently is what builds civil societies. There have been like many societies. Mormons, for instance, for a large time, have polygamous relationships, and they were able to create civil society. Ancient Mesopotamia, many other countries have polygamy. They don't not become uncivilized because they allow a greater definition of what marriage actually means. And so it seems to me you're trying to put an arbitrary. You're trying to foster a view of reality that the evidence just does not support. Society could run well with homosexual couples having children, and could run well with polygamous societies, as well as the current society that we have.
Okay, I'll give you a chance to respond to that, but also want to conclude the discussion on specifically whether it's a state or a federal issue. So try to keep it to 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, is it a state or a federal issue? It's both, but the bottom line is, as long as the federal government recognizes marriage in any form, it has to be a federal issue for tax reasons, for benefit reasons, for the federal government giving out benefits. I mean, all of these reasons make it into a federal issue whether they want it to be or not. States also have the opportunity to experiment. I mean, we, and I'm sure you do, believe that states are laboratories of democracy, and it's good for them. It's good for them to experiment with different things. But the problem is the federal government ultimately is responsible, and they're going to have to be.
30 seconds.
Okay. Let me read something really quickly. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. That's the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That says that on both a federal and a state level, the government has to treat people equally under the law. That is what we are arguing for.
Okay, great guys. Let's have about 4 minutes for audience questions, and then you both will have a chance to give concluding statements.
So people, you didn't get to go last time, right? So why don't you go first?
So I'm asking the libertarians. So let's assume that gay marriage is legal, and then let's assume that there's a couple of Christian photographers who do not believe in gay marriage. Should they be allowed to refuse services to gay couples who want to get married?
Of course. How is that even a question?
Because there have been people in some states who have been sued for refusing to provide services to gay weddings.
We just disagree with that, and we think it's morally abhorrent.
As an economic issue, you as a business owner have the right to refuse service to any person you choose. That's probably a bad decision on your part because you could be making money off of that person. It's not a good business idea to refuse service to any specific group of people, no matter what the personal beliefs are. But we don't think that the government should regulate that.
Basically, we respect your right to be a bigot, but we don't encourage it. No, I'm saying your opinion. Go ahead, by all means. No. Okay. Yeah, not your particular.
All right, next
someone
question.
else.
Someone else can
How about orange stripes?
My question is two-part. The first is, where did Supreme Court Justice Brennan receive his degree in social science? And my second question is it preferable for a child to be raised without parents at all in the foster care system than to be raised by two committed, loving, homosexual people, given that there are 5 children in the foster care system for every one homosexual couple that's looking to adopt? Sorry, my heart's pounding because I'm so angry. I don't understand why the love and support that I have to offer to a child is inferior to the love and support that a heterosexual person has to offer.
I'm guessing that was directed at us. First off, I don't really know that we're debating adoption here.
We're not debating that.
No, we did already. But we're not really debating adoption. We're debating marriage, and adoption's separate from that. So I don't really have an.
No, it's not. This debate has been framed in the issue of children and the raising of children. So forgive me for
If they
saying.
can't procreate, then they have to adopt if they're going to have kids.
It's usually
I mean, yeah, this is a very touchy issue, and you know, whatever. But I mean, according to us, no. I mean, neither are optimal. We need to do stuff to get the foster system reorganized, and I agree with that. And I'm not ready to debate the foster system. But no, we do not believe that gay parents make the best parents. I'm sorry. Social science doesn't state that.
Social science
So I have like the whole table full.
Okay,
Just because I ordered a Supreme Court justice who's got a higher degree than any of us ever will, you know, like let's do us all a favor.
We're gonna move on to unless someone who hasn't asked a question yet, and then we're gonna move on to concluding statements.
How about one more question right there, blue shirt.
If we're defining marriage just based on the ability for two people in a relationship to have children, and not as an institution where two people in love share a permanent commitment, then why are we currently allowing people who are elderly or infertile to get married?
I guess not.
Who's that directed
Yeah.
It's the same point that I brought up earlier, in that, why not infertile people? Why not old people? You know, here's the thing. I've lost my thought. Go ahead.
I mean, it's like we've been saying, this is the ideal situation, I mean, we don't want the government to start regulating who can and cannot have kids. We just
That's
want.
exactly what you
Oh,
want.
I brought up my point again. Sorry, I forgot it, but now I know. Because if it's not for that, thank you. If it's not for that, then why are you registering your love with the government? That's my question. Why are you registering your love with the government? That's an infringement on your liberal society, and you shouldn't do it. So if it's not for children, then why?
So we shouldn't let the elderly
No. You've missed my point. My point is that it's centered on children, but if you don't center it around that and you're just doing love, then why are we registering it with the government?
Okay, you guys can actually continue this discussion into your 2-minute conclusion. And then you guys have your So, go ahead, Yaf, 2-minute conclusion. You can pick right up where you are.
We believe marriage should be the way it has been for 2,000 years by every society until it started to change in 2000 with the Netherlands. It is true, actually. No society in the world ever legalized gay marriage before 2000.
Please, silence from the audience.
Please let them respond. Let them respond.
Well,
Did you want to say some more? I'm actually
I was
interested.
just wondering where you learned about speaking his turn.
I'm kind of wondering who invited you to the front here.
Right.
You're just talking in the back.
so make the problem worse. Okay.
This is not a personal debate, it's only about the issues. So keep that in mind.
We believe gay marriage should remain illegal.
Okay.
All right. No. We're gonna have an opportunity at the end of all 3 topics for you guys to ask questions.
If there's extra time at the end, you can ask questions about any issue.
All right, 2 minutes, guys.
If we're going to take your 2,000-year-old definition of marriage to be the correct one, how about this? We should think that marriage should be held in traditional fashion, that it has been held for 1,950 years, until in 1950 they legalized interracial marriage. I mean, it's pretty clear. This issue has come up before. Marriage issues have come up before with interracial marriage. The same argument is here. Any 2 people should be allowed to get married. We're not saying that you have to register your love with the government, but you can for tax incentives. We don't believe that that should exist in either side, but that point is moot. If it is going to exist, if tax incentives for married couples are going to exist, the government needs to treat everyone the same way.
Okay. I know it's a passionate discussion. So. But anyway, moving on to drugs.